Welcome to Ess-Fo. I am Steve, aka the Ess-Fo. I'm very excited to start this because it has been misstep after misstep, and all I'm doing is starting a YouTube channel. I don't have everything in place yet. As you can tell, you can't tell whether the top of my head is actually hair or just a brown mass because I don't have a backlight yet. No problem. I'm just now getting used to the HD camera. You can tell I'm not wearing my makeup yet. However, I don't know. I just have a weird thing with high def. It's great for sports, nature films. However, I feel like it's kind of ruined movies and TV. I guess YouTube videos would fall into that category. I like a little fuzz, a little texture. It gives that sort of that glamorous thing we like from our movies. But now, looking at myself on the screen right now, it's like looking at a still from a Ren and Stimpy episode. While we wait for my foundation shipment to come in and the house band to set up and someone to pick out all the brown M&Ms, let's get started finally with some music. This channel is all about pumping tires for music and artists that could use a little lift. It's the sort of part of the sink that keeps $1 million wedding ring from going down the drain. That's what Ess-Fo is. To begin, let's head back to the start of the year. Some of the records and singles I was reviewing on Instagram. We will be talking about Cautious Clay from Cleveland, a gang of Utes from Australia. I don't know where Bobby Halvorson is from. He's in this. But let's go to Richmond, Virginia right now and start off with Matthew E. White. Matthew E. White has been releasing music under his own name for the better part of a decade now. I had never heard of him before I heard Genuine Hesitation. I saw some of his press photos that came with, the announcement for the single and all that other stuff. He doesn't have a look that gives you an idea of what music might be coming down the pipeline. He's not exactly a K-pop artist. You look at him and you think, is he a nouveau Rick Rubin? Does he do ZZ Top covers? Or is he a knight who says knee? I can sympathize with this sort of, facelessness, hard to identify sort of look. There are those websites where you can send in a selfie and the algorithm will tell you which celebrity you most look like. I have a buddy who looks like a cross between Greg Dooley and Bill Pullman. However, the results for me, a whopping 15% likeness, I'll have you know, was Alfred Hitchcock shortly before he died. His most successful contributions, at least according to Spotify play counts, are collaborations with the likes of Flo Morrissey and Natalie Press. After I first heard the single I'm reviewing, Genuine Hesitation, I went back to his older music just to see what he was all about. And he definitely flavors a sort of white soul, smooth R&B sort of sound. Given that his voice is naturally low, he uses a lot of falsetto. Fans of experimental light pop from 20 years ago, like the Aluminum Group and the Sea and Cake, might also like a lot of what Matthew White has been producing so far. Now, Genuine Hesitation, according to Spotify, has amassed about 465,000 listens, which is no glass animals, but it's respectable. However, in light of the fact that he has gotten songs with many more listens, it kind of suggests that it's tapering off a little bit for him. And that may be partly because Genuine Hesitation sounds like the music of a completely different artist. Because there are those among us who like Bowie in the 1980s, who like post-Stooges Iggy Pop, who like Pulp. Pulp is one of my favorite bands. Genuine Hesitation has a very taut, danceable groove derived from European artists, going back to even Kraftwerk. If you want more modern references, and I know these aren't exactly the most modern, Franz Ferdinand kind of weaves its way through the tone of the song, as well as LCD Sound System. Anyway, I recommend it highly. It is 7 minutes long, so it's kind of an investment. However, there is a 4 minute version for those among you who do not like so much coffee. Check out the links below. There's also a video, and enjoy. An elephant in the room of Ess-Fo is this notion of how popular does something need to be for me to cover it, or how unpopular. Popularity does not necessarily affect what I like or what I enjoy, but it does go a long way to determine whether or not it merits coverage on Ess-Fo, whether it's not being covered enough. Matthew E. White, for instance, like I said, has 460,000 listens so far on Spotify now. It was not the case at the beginning of the year, I can assure you that. However, I didn't know who he was. Now, for this next artist, Cautious Clay, man, I don't know if I have an excuse. I did kind of know who he was before I heard Rapture in Blue. That's because he lends no little support to one of my favorite songs from a couple of years ago, Superior Emotion by Aluna George. However, if you look over the canon of Aluna George songs, that song is not among their most popular works. So I kind of, led me to believe that Cautious Clay maybe didn't have that much of an impact on that song. Now, like I said, when I listened to it for the first time, Rapture in Blue, it did not have as many listens as it has now, something like 2.5 million. However, it didn't dawn on me until I clicked back through the album that, yeah, he's kind of famous. Some might say even more popular than his hometown of Cleveland. But, he's not like LeBron famous. And my justification for keeping on with this review, even though it may exceed the bounds of the jurisdiction of Ess-Fo, Rapture in Blue is not the most popular song on the album it came out on, so that's one thing. And, it's not like Clay is part of the national conversation right now, so that's another. And so, na boo boo, this is my channel. I'm going to go with it. Regardless, it's a great cut. It's about embracing uncertainty in a world when the rest of us just want a little bit of stability. What is bothering young Clay? Well, anyone who wears a sweater like that is bound to be a little bit itchy. The song doesn't really come off like it's anxious. It sounds like Seal. That's what drew me to it, I think. It reminds me of A Kiss from a Rose and Crazy. It has these Travis Scott-style modern comments and effects. Did I do that right? And the album it comes from, Deadpan Love, it draws its whole thing from the uncertainty, again, of dating and romance in a digital age when you meet someone perhaps online and you see their whole digital profile, and then you meet them in person and they seem to be completely different. I assure you, I'm like this all the time. Just never shuts up. Okay. To boot, I don't know how many of you are Cautious Clay fans. On the album Deadpan Love, one of the songs, Dying in Subtlety, I think it's called. Yeah, Dying in Subtlety. It has about 8 million listens. The next song, Why Is Your Clay So Cautious, has only 1,500 listens. That's 2/10,000ths of the listens on Spotify. It's not a bad song. I don't know what the advanced word is. I don't know why a lot of people did this and just, whoa, oh, Cautious As Your Clay, almost stepped in that. To put in perspective, on Use Your Illusion 2 by Guns N' Roses, there's the alternate version of Don't Cry. It has 315 million listens. It came out in 1991, but Spotify wasn't available in the US until 2010. The very next song on the record, My World, which is 86 seconds of perhaps the worst song by any major artist until Lulu and Metallica and Lou Reed came along, of course. It has 1.3% of the listens of Don't Cry. And it's had, a decade or so for people to be like, don't listen to that. It's garbage. Anyway, so if you can find out for me why is your Clay So Cautious doesn't get the listens, I'd really like to know. I'm curious. Links are below. This hair thing is really bothering me. I need this backlight so badly. It's like, and then over here, it looks like I've got alopecia. It's really just gray. Anyway, like America, Australia is a nation of immigrants. And like America, Australians, many of them, have a very confusing idea of what nativism and natives are. Some of the continent, some of its biggest musical exports have been immigrants. The Bee Gees, Olivia Newton-John, Keith Urban. Sorry, I've got to go on a tangent here. This wraps into a wider issue of Australians misrepresenting themselves on the world stage. Number one, they don't drink Foster's. Foster's is barely even brewed in Australia anymore. It's brewed mainly in Manchester, England. Number two, they don't say shrimp on the Barbie like was popularized from those 1980s tourism videos, because shrimp are called prawns in Australia, which leads to number three. What do we tell Cheech Marin and the international film industry? Can't go back now. Now that we've exposed what really happens down under, we can move on to a band that really seems to represent the cosmopolitan country that it actually is, Gang of Youths. Comprising Europeans, Americans, a Samoan, and a Samoan who also debunks the myth of the Samoan physique at that. We get a band whose global sound and look aren't merely for presentation purposes. I'm not picking on a band like Bastille, but the Weem Away of Pompeii is an example of what I'm talking about. In the Wake of Your Leave by Gang of Youths, it has an international feel to it as well. It's fumbling, it's romantic, it's swinging, like you'll see this in the video, which is highly choreographed and just a pleasure to watch, swinging around a lamppost while thinking of what to say. It's about grief, or at least being younger and experiencing real grief for the first time and actually coming to rely on it, almost like it's a drug or Wordle. Sonically, the band recalls Sam Fender, Modern English, Longwave, The Killers, The Stills. If you want to get big and overarching, and I know this is an influence on a million bands, but U2 would be a great one. They share that sort of, at least this song, that ability of turning a personal crisis into an international anthem. Links are below. Finally, I want to talk about Bobby Halvorson, mainly because, like, no one is. The song Nothing Ever Feels Like Home doesn't show a play count on Spotify. I think that's because it hasn't cracked 1,000 listens yet. And I know I've listened to it at least 50 times. So, whoa. This is what Ess-Fo is about, baby. It's a crime. By the way, does anyone know if Spotify counts the listens when you play a song via Sonos or another home audio system like that? Someone should check that out, because I think Bobby Halvorson might be missing some money for me in that regard as well. So Nothing Ever Feels Like Home is a little sad, maybe a little mopey, but it's not Nick Drake sad. It's not Townes Van Zandt sad. Actually, Townes Van Zandt isn't sad. Townes Van Zandt is like the absence of feeling. It's like the sound of emptiness. That's not Bobby Halvorson. Nothing Ever Feels Like Home is what happens when you mix the Zombies and Belly Drum Boy, Bill Riccini. Check him out if you haven't. The Pernice Brothers, the Shins, Sufjan Stevens, and maybe it's a cliche, but still, Elliott Smith. Halvorson's second single this year was a sort of Beach Boys inflected cover of Never My Love by The Association, so that can give you another few hints as to where he's coming from. The song doesn't break any new ground, but it gets its influences exactly right. It kicks off with what sounds like Mellotron and a kind of forlorn drum beat, and then Halvorson swoops down like Colin Blunstone from the Zombies on an umbrella with this very tender falsetto, and it's got a charmingly stuttering guitar solo that's having trouble finding the beat, and it doesn't feel like home. And the song sounds like it was recorded alone, which just gives it that much more weight and endearment. So definitely check it out. Links are below. So thanks for watching. Check the links below for the music. Please get these people the listens they deserve. If you want to skip ahead, visit my Instagram page for what I've been reviewing since the beginning of the year, and then just wait for the notification and check out my next episode. Thanks.